Hey folks, it's Maxie here and welcome to another TEW2020 video. You join us today for one of our lesser events. It is AEW Fyter Fest, where we are on our AEW Plus network. These kind of events, because I don't put them on pay-per-view, I kind of treat them a wee bit like a hybrid between a television show and a pay-per-view. So you get some storyline driven stuff in terms of angles, etc. But of course you also get some pay-per-view like payoffs. I think we're at that stage as well now where we're just going to go all out for the best ratings we can. We make that much off of our commercial network that we are going to set this as a legendary band, an A-list celebrity, and $2 million spent on a special set. So attendance wise we're looking in the region of maybe in the 60 to 70,000 mark, so that's going to give us a good amount of money that way. Show rating obviously depends on how our Fatal 4-Way match does for the AEW World Championship, and that is of course between the champion Eddie Kingston, Bryan Danielson, the former champion Hangman Adam Page, and Andrade El Idolo. Last year we saw the main event of Hangman defending against Adam Cole, where he won in a 78 rated match before he was attacked by Miro post-match. Also had some interesting developments last year. Brock Lesnar over Jungle Boy before Bryan Danielson made the save to set up Danielson versus Lesnar for All Out, and of course we had manager of Brock Lesnar, Bryan Alvarez, make his debut at that particular time. Nice little 8-man tag in there with the Lucha Bros teaming with Danielson and Punk to take on the House of Black, Malachi Black, Matt Silva, the Butcher and the Blade. We also had the attempted push at the time of Brian Cage, which never quite worked out, with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano defeating the Young Bucks. If you wanted an idea of when roughly I booked last year's Fyter Fest, Moxley and Rita had an exploding barbed wire death match. So whenever that episode of Dark Side of the Ring came out, probably about a week after that. We also had Eddie versus Cody, with Darby Allin versus Sami Zayn, and in the opening contest we had Britt Baker team with Demi Bennett to take on Becky Quinn and Thunder Rosa. Smaller development we've been doing, as I say, as an offline save majority, bar the pay-per-views and the events. I have started a third television show, but it's a B show. It's called the AEW Power Hour, just an exclusive show for the women of AEW. I want to try and manage them a bit more better to make sure they're getting the right amount of matches, their skill sets are developing, and the right wrestlers are having warm momentum, because there was quite a few bigger names that had chilly or cooled momentum, so just getting some W's into their column. It also helps in terms of turns as well, because obviously I wanted to turn the Inspiration heel, but it still said it was too soon, despite the fact I've had them on the roster for over a year. So giving them more matches, more angles will allow them to be more recognised by the crowd, and then in turn we can make those turns happen. How long it lasts, we'll see. More talent have come up. We've brought up the likes of Priscilla Kelly's come in, so she's signed from WWE, obviously Gigi Dillon. And of course we already signed JC Jane, aka Avery Taylor, so we have no toxic attraction here, but we have a poisonous chalice. But that's just a few of a couple of women athletes that we have here. We've been having a lot of women's titles matches the last couple of weeks, because I want to try and get the Women's Championship to higher prestige in the TBS. We had a title change on the first episode of Power Hour, where we had Io Shirai defeat Mercedes Vernando. Mercedes is in a matchup tonight against someone that cost her. You'll see that as time goes along. And Io Shirai will defend the Women's Championship against Britt Baker. But I think there's still quite a gap in terms of the prestige, maybe about 13, so we really need to work with it. But it's going to mean that champion of the women's division is going to be a workers' champion and putting on sick match after sick match. So I think we're roughly about 22-23 segments. So without further ado, let's crack on to this week's AEW pay-per-view, which is Fyter Fest 2023. So, we start off our pay-per-view, our event, in front of 71,000 people at the New Era Field with, my usual attempt at 100 rating, only drew 83. So we might be under a bit of pressure here today with our main event, but it's basically Tyler Black and Danielson having a few words in the ring. They obviously had that coming together previously. Black says, oh look who's got a title shot. Typical who gets put in there and who doesn't. But don't worry Brian, I'm going to make your life a living hell, and we will have that match down the line, and I will become AEW World Champion at one point as well. So that was an 83. Somehow managed to fill up the full 225 minutes of this show, which is quite remarkable with the amount of angles we had. So first off, we had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Had Ricochet defeat Matt Jackson 14-10 with a 630 splash. Ricochet making the third defence of the AEW 0X Championship. I actually still thought Nick had a bit of a niggle. Apparently he's over that now, so we just put Matt in singles competition. But I felt like it was a good chance to expose the AEW 0X Championship, promote that on an event, get out some prestige, and two guys that would work towards a very good matchup. So 80 overall, a very solid opener for the belt. Shame about their psychology. Next up in a decent matchup, we had Brianna Brandy defeat Becky Quinn in 12:03 with a handful of the tights. This drew a 67. You're probably looking at this and thinking I'm absolutely mental for doing this. I do seem to do this a lot, which is sabotage my really good workers who are over, but at the same time are very kind in offering a promise to put the lesser younger talents over. So Becky offered to put Brianna over, and I thought, well, I may as well utilise that as quickly as we can, but it does mean it's going to be a massive climb to get Becky back up to the main event scene of the women's division. But she came up with a promise, I was happy to jump on it, and our new talent Brianna. I wasn't sure if I was going to go with Brianna Brandy, a real name, or go with something different. We've opted for that so far, but we'll see what happens as time goes along. We then had the Hype Package to promote the Poisonous Chalice, of course the team of Avery Taylor and Priscilla Kelly, she's back known as, which was a 33. I should add as well, in terms of women's athletes, I actually got a generated worker through Stardom. Ice Rib, sorry, that's a development company anyway. So they basically have no skills, they're a manager, and I think it's something like, is it 88 sex appeal? It was like the two main stats they needed were like 88 and 100, so they're like as good as you can get. So I've chucked them straight away with Angel Garza, so we'll see that. I don't think they've got a promo on this show, so if not, we'll showcase that at the end of the video. But I'm intrigued to see how much I can get them over, just purely because their sex appeal's that high. Back to action, we had a good matchup. Drew Galloway over Sammy Guevara in 13:58 with a Claymore kick. 76. Bizarrely, Sammy's more established than Drew. Sammy's obviously got plenty of years ahead of him, so we can afford to drip and drop him from where he is over on this wise. Drew we can build up and give ourselves another main star, but 76 is decent considering where they are, and that was just a regular matchup. And after the matchup, Adam Cole says, "Don't you worry, you son of a bitch, I haven't forgotten what you and Britt Baker have done to me in my personal life, and I will get a hold of you." That's a 77. It's quite tricky booking Sammy Guevara and Adam Cole, because the hatred in the game means they will not work with each other in terms of certain promos. So certain angles, Sammy comes up and says, "I'm not doing it, I won't work with them." What other angles I can get them to attack each other, so it's quite tricky, just trying to make sure I can get the right thing to work. So overall, hopefully they'll work together in an actual matchup. If they don't, that's just screwed a lot of plans. But yeah, that's one of the interesting developments in this game world. And obviously, I actually want Adam Cole to pick up like a woman in this, get a relationship with someone, so we can do the tag match, or I'm just going to have to draw a random woman to basically face Britt Baker in a 2v2 matchup down the line. Moving on, a good matchup. Team Taz's Calvin Tankman defeated AJ Styles in 12:19 with a Tankman driver, 78. Again, Calvin's the man. He's over. He's the man that AJ Styles has promised to put over. Team Taz has been doing some really good stuff here. Calvin, Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, and it won't be long until we send Hook. But for the moment, a 78, and Calvin continues his ascension to the upper mid-card main event level. Next up, we had a good matchup that saw Shinsuke Nakamura defeat Jonah in 13:35 by disqualification. That was an 80. That's a very good matchup there. I felt Shinsuke would probably not want to put Jonah over, but obviously want to make Jonah look good in defeat. Obviously the big body muscle for CM Punk. So if Punk wants to get his hands, Nakamura wants to get his hands on Punk, again he has to go through Jonah. So 80 overall, very very good there. And the post-match beatdown of Punk and Jonah on Nakamura got a 79. But you hope there with the good looking of CM Punk, Jonah performing poorly, that some of the overness can go into Jonah, and that can benefit him down the line. Then moved on to some tag team action, and two people we called up recently from developmental were Ten and Alan Angels, and they've been teaming together. Ten's been getting a bit more of a push, but that's more of a long-term story, which we'll see over the course of the next couple of angles. We had a decent matchup here. FTR defeat Ten and Angels and 14-14 when Cash Wheeler pinned Alan Angels with the big rig. At 69, you're always going to get spectacular performances of FTR. I mean, they're not even particularly over in this, but they're always going to give you a good result because of all the good boosts. 10's been in a good position. Angels is getting there, but overall, a 69, it's pretty steady. This then leads to a confrontation as FTR are celebrating between 10 and Dark Order leader Wyndham. They've never really seen eye to eye because obviously when Wyndham arrived in AEW, 10 and Alan Angels were sent packing. So a 75 and a Wyndham come out of it looking excellent. Then had a promo from FTR. They were just claiming how good they are. They are the best tag team around and there's no one on their level. 64. They then say they keep provoking and just really pissing off the crowd. They just say there's no tag team in any company that can do anything against us. This leads to the debut of the Briscoe brothers, Mark and Jay. They come out and we get the brawl between them and Dax and Cash. So 60 overall. Awful for Mark, great for Jay in terms of their gimmicks. If you're wondering why I'm sending more wrestlers, remember I have like nearly 200 wrestlers here, but like 75% of them are on handshake deals, so they can still work elsewhere. Mark and Jay are no different. Handshake deals, they can work in ROH, wherever they want to work. It just gives me more options to have fantasy booking effectively. And there's a lot in this batch of signings I've made this time that have high psychology, so I'm hoping that they can carry the lesser workers and hopefully develop the lesser workers' psychology stat. So again, working in that kind of player coach role. Moving along, we had a decent matchup that saw Daria Berenato defeat Mercedes Vernando in 13-11 by submission with a modified Google Plata. So this one, again, is a promise, but I was basically having that even though they're both heels, that Daria was just meddling with Mercedes and attempting to take the championship away from her. I didn't feel it was right to give Daria the championship, so I just wanted this feud to get a bit more personal. And as I say, with the age of Daria, I think she's still only 28-29 game, plenty of time to develop. But 72, and Mercedes I think is only 30-31, so again she's plenty of time to ascend back up where she needs to be. Storytelling matchup, because I was just needing one, and I believe you'll get, odd face heel combination. Speaking of that, I don't like how it doesn't allow you to have a face manager of a heel wrestler. Miss Elizabeth done it plenty of times for the Macho Man. You've had plenty of cases of where it's been different alignments, no conflict of interests, but yeah, because I accidentally made Garza Jr.'s previously mentioned a Valley a babyface and him a heel. I thought that would be quite a good dynamic to watch, but there you go, doesn't work in game. Then have a heated confrontation between Daria and the champ Io Shirai. That was a 73. Good stuff. We will see more AEW talents get ascended back up. It's just obviously the overness is with the WWE folk. And a good matchup in the Women's Championship matchup saw Io Shirai defeat Britt Baker in 13:37 with a German suplex hold. Fourth defence of the world title, a 79. I think they had an 81 on one of the shows of Power Hour. Britt being off her game obviously hampers that by a couple of ratings, but still good. Still hopefully going to benefit Britt being in the ring with Io Shirai, and hopefully continues to gather the prestige of our Women's Championship. Then have a backstage angle between Daria Berenato and Mick Foley. Of course, Mick is our matchmaker, Daria is our women's authority figure. It's just Mick saying you really can't be putting yourself in these positions and interfering. You might need to get to that stage, you have to pick one or the other. Daria is just a wee bit disgusted with Mick. Then have a little package backstage. You obviously know Kenny Omega turning babyface at Double or Nothing, and Nick and Matt Jackson are just saying, well, whose side the young man? Are you going to stay with us, or you know what I mean? Are you going with Cody? What's the script with the Young Bucks? What's the script with Kenny? All of that's going to unfold over the next few weeks and months. Because Kenny was in action against Cody Rhodes, and they had an exceptional matchup with no Young Bucks interference that saw Kenny win in 1937 with a one-winged angel. 85 overall, Kenny win 84, Cody win 85. And let's see what negatives there was. None. So delighted with that one. As I said, they're going to have plenty of matches together. But when you turn Kenny Omega babyface, it just opens up so many more avenues of matches. Eddie Kingston, Sammy Guevara, so many people, Tyler Black. The options are limitless. But remember, Cody has friends that were trying to get over, so he's attacked Kenny Omega by the hardcore deathmatch king Matt Cardona, and Cardona puts him through a table. A 79, as I say, we're slowly working with a few guys for Impact to get them over. Impact, just to give you an interesting stat here, had obviously signed Wardlow in a handshake deal. Obviously, when it comes to shop, we'll just sign him in an exclusive written. But their 3 main matches at their last event, I can't remember which it was actually called, but it featured Anna Jay defending the Knockouts Championship, Zack Ryder defending the X Division Championship, and Wardlow in a big match as well. So effectively, we are aiding the growth of Impact Wrestling, and then we'll just sign the wrestlers and kill them down the line. And the main event was also an 86, so I couldn't push it any higher than in the 90s. But an exceptional matchup, Eddie Kingston defeated Bryan Danielson, Andrade El Idolo, and Hangman Adam Page in 26-17, when Eddie pinned Bryan with the Blackout Lariat, giving Eddie his first title defence. It could have went back to Eddie versus Hangman, but I felt like again the psychology would have hampered it, so putting in 2 phenomenally skilled workers like Andrade and Danielson to carry that aspect was hopefully going to give us a better rating. But 86 is still pretty solid, and we finish up with Tyler Black attacking Bryan. So Black stands tall, Kingston stands as champion, and we should be fine thanks to the boosts. 91, so it's nowhere near a 91 show. As you can see, our best angle was an 83, 85 for Kenny, 86 there, so we have been saved by the boosts. So I feel like if we can get the right event where we can get a main event match into the 90s, we can get that 100 open segment, if we can get the boosts, I think we can get that elusive 100 show at least. I mean, I'm still sitting, I think, at 99 for both. Not in this save. I could have just went historically to try and do it, but I've set that target. I want to give myself a bit of a challenge where it's a modern day mod, and where you can get a little bit hampered by popularity caps. So we'll jump back into the main screen here. I'll just show you that women's talent that we've got if we look at the financial situation for the month, because obviously we've had 8 shows on AEW Plus. We've then had the Power Hour, which is basically 2 tapings of 2 on AEW Plus as well, and of course this big event is an exclusive AEW Plus thing. And let's just expand our women's division and let's kill the WWE from within, as we'll probably sign Charlotte Flair as well. We've got Rey Mysterio coming in. I'm literally just setting the MD I want from WWE. That's the aim, is like to kill off WWE, despite the fact they have like 200 odd million in the bank, so it won't be for like ever. But I feel like eventually the shows will start to decline, and maybe their wages will be higher than what they're bringing in. We'll see. Fyter Fest, awesome, fantastic reviews. Financially, 35 million, 72 million in broadcast revenue from 10 million at the start. So yeah, commercial network. If you create it yourself, it's just a cheat code effectively. But we're here to have fun and fantasy, but that maybe makes your save a wee bit easier if you go with that. As you see, no pay-per-view revenue because that wasn't a pay-per-view, and we can still make 29 million profit despite the fact 40 million was spent media, and I don't think that's enough to allow me to upgrade. Oh, it is. There we go. And that'll minimalise our tax. We just need to get 46 million for Europe next month, and then that'll be complete. Then after that, we're just basically going to be turning money into money. So I'm spending any bit of money I get. We're down to like $1 million again. But yeah, imagine pretty quickly. Like you can see there, media, we have just completely spurged every month, apart from June and July last month. See, there's a lot of debuts coming. Mustafa Ali, Rey Mysterio, Alex Shelley, Jimmy Uso, Chad Gable, Danhausen. I'm just flooding this roster, just giving myself as many options as I can. But I do feel like there'll be people that'll be released, there'll be people that'll move to Impact, and I will shuffle everything around, but we'll get there. So Nikki Storm's an interesting one. I didn't want to bring her in, but she's 60 pop. I mean, she's going to be putting people over. She's a good worker, and I just feel there's a lot of her talents that she can certainly help. So I'm actually going to make her babyface, because I feel like she could put over the likes of Shida, Layla, Hirsch as well. So yeah, we'll fire her there. And Rush can get a 75% increase. Also looking to shoot the permanent acquisitions of Roxy, because WWE putting a deal for her. Steve Carino is another road agent. Taz is its contract renewal. Paul Heyman, give me a manager. And Shibata has come out of retirement. Quite fitting, compared to real life as well. So I just decided to offer my contract so we could have some dream matches. Sounds like a plan. Speaking of dream matches, we can see that I'll need to offer new contracts to Shibata and Heyman to make sure we get them. We'll obviously offer a contract to Charlotte Flair. Bobby Roode is a free agent. He's retiring. I might bring him in as a road agent. I'll wait to retire before we do that. And we had 28.6 free TV rating for Fyter Fest. So a lot of people there. And of course, I'm not forgetting it, but Sarah Del Rey has joined AEW. The reason for Sarah, again, we took her out of retirement. 86 psychology, I think that tells a lot, and so on. So I feel like with her, even though her stats are going to get lesser and lesser because of age, and the overness isn't great, we got her out of retirement in game. She can work as a road agent. I think I'm just gonna put her in a tag team, but I think with that psychologist that she can work with people and she can get them over. Also, it seems that social media storm from over a year ago is over and done. So yeah, looking forward to utilising her, but she's more kind of going to be like a gatekeeper, putting people over, and just being a solid player coach. I like to refer to that a lot, so yeah, player coach is what we've got. So there's a massive roster we have. It's a wee bit of scrolling. To be fair, that is including, obviously, road agents and the like, and referees, but it was, did I find that? It was at Kaneko Anzai. So this is her. She's just joined the wrestling business, like literally just there, as in 2 days ago, and we signed her on the spot. Oh, it was because she was a graduate, sorry, I should say that, because it's AEW Trueborn. It trained at the Ice Ribbon Dojo. So we got her up, and as I say, star quality 88, sex appeal 100, and I'm like, that's something you got to go for. The biggest pain, actually, she was like 18 like a day ago, she already had a birthday, but the biggest pain was trying to find a picture that kind of, I obviously have to look at the age, and then obviously she's Japanese, so I have to try and find that picture and the pictures in the file, and I'm just trying to look through it, and like, what can I give her? Because a lot of the face pack, it was quite difficult to find something that suited the character. I'm not even going to click on anything, so that wasn't, but there's plenty in there, as you can see. Male, female, so we got there. I felt that was best suited to how she was described, and she's going to be corrupted by Garza Jr. So that's it for this particular episode. I'm going to go and have a bit of fun before we have, in 3 weeks' time in game, AEW Fight for the Fallen. It's a shorter build to Fight for the Fallen, as that's another kind of like TV show kind of thing, and then the big one is all out on the 4th week of August. So cheers for watching, much appreciated. Hope you enjoyed what you saw here. Let me know how your own saves are getting on, and if you got a 100 rated match or a 100 rated show in a modern database, aka Questloves or the Who's, let me know what you done, and I'll take that advice on board. So cheers for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you for Fight for the Fallen. Bye bye.